If you're confused by cloud architect job descriptions, this video is for you. Hi, my name is Michael Gibbs and I'm the founder and CEO of Go Cloud Architects, and we're an organization dedicated towards building high-performance cloud computing careers. I've been working in technology for over 25 years and I've been coaching and mentoring others for well over 2 decades. And today we're going to talk about cloud architect job descriptions. The reason we want to make a video on cloud architect job descriptions, we get asked every day by people when they're looking for their first cloud architect job. They say, what do we do, these cloud architect job descriptions? What should we study? Because they all look different. And you know, that is not an uncommon question. And the reason we're making this video is we're going to talk about what a cloud architect job description actually is, as well as how we think some of these cloud architect job descriptions have gotten so crowded away, so ambiguous, and including everything, including the kitchen sink, which would never be possible for any one person to master. So let's first just define the 4 main roles that are in the cloud. You've got a cloud architect, which is a systems designer. Cloud architects design systems to meet an organization's needs. Design position, and it's a cross between an engineering position and a business executive position. That is what a cloud architect does. They design systems, they don't build them, they don't configure them, they don't manage them, they design them. By comparison, a cloud engineer is a builder. So after the cloud architect designs the solution, somebody has to go build it, and that's the cloud engineer. And the cloud engineer is a deeply technical role in terms of building the systems. That's a cloud engineer. The next common cloud job is cloud sysops or sysops. And sysops is basically operations. And sysops people maintain the cloud that the cloud engineers built. So the cloud architect designs it, the cloud engineer builds it, and then the cloud sysop person maintains it. So sysops people have to be really good with scripting and automation and Terraform, those kinds of things, because they are the maintainers of the system. Now the last role that we'll talk about is DevOps, and in this case we're going to be talking about cloud DevOps, and that's really about improving the software delivery cycle. So that's what those folks do. And when you look at these cloud architect job descriptions or solution architect job descriptions, they can be all over the place. And rarely are they specific, so we're going to help you figure it out. So let's start with how organizations are structured so you can understand the way we're going to describe this. Organizations begin with the CEO, who sets the strategy for the organization. Underneath the CEO, they have a chief information officer who basically meets the CEO's business strategy through the use of technology, information technology to be specific, who typically has a VP of IT, who typically has a director of IT, who has the manager of IT, who's usually the hiring manager for first-line cloud architects. So if you want to know exactly what a cloud architect does and what should be in a cloud architect job description, take it from the CIO. So Gartner, an organization that does evaluations of technology trends and future state and what's needed in technology, did just that. See, all these cloud architect job descriptions were really ambiguous, so somebody wanted to clean it up. So Gartner did a wonderful survey of CIOs. And since CIOs set the strategy for what cloud architects do in their organizations, this is your specific cloud architect job description. And this was published in CIO magazine. I will leave the link in the description below so you can see it for yourself. According to what was published in CIO magazine, which is consistent, which is what we've trained with people forever, and the way we've worked as architects forever, what Gartner said in CIO magazine is that a cloud architect leads the cultural change for cloud adoption. The cloud architect develops and coordinates a cloud architecture. This means designs. And the cloud architect develops a cloud strategy and coordinates the adoption process. The next thing that Gartner said, which is published in CIO, is that according to CIOs, cloud architects help find talent with the necessary skills, they assess applications, software and hardware, they create a cloud broker team, they select cloud providers and vet third-party services, then they work closely with the IT security people to make sure the security systems are there, they manage budgets and operate at scale. So you can see what the cloud architect is doing. It is a design position. And because it's a design position, that's exactly what it works. Now we think what goes on when we see some of these job descriptions is the following. And we're actually going to demonstrate one case for this exactly. Most of us hiring managers, we are not experts at writing job descriptions. In fact, we hate it and we're terrible at it. So what do a lot of us do? If we see a job and we need a job description, it's like, let me go to with a favorite job board, let me cut and paste the job description, bring it into Word or Google Docs or whatever you're using to write your documents, keep all that stuff because it looks remarkably comprehensive, and then add our own stuff. And I do that, and then I submit my thing. Let's say I use Indeed, ZipRecruiter, it doesn't matter. The next person that comes in needs a cloud architect, and they're not sure what they do either. So what do? They take mine. And mine had basically somebody else's plus mine. They look at it and they say, wow, I need a little more security. I'm going to add all these security things. And then they save it, and then they post it, and the next person does it, the next person does it. And when we now look at some of these cloud architect job descriptions, they're like sysops jobs, devops jobs, application architect jobs. It's hard to find. So we told you exactly what CIOs desire in cloud architects, and that's going to work. Now we're going to read several cloud architect job descriptions. Now the first cloud architect job description we're going to read is one by Health eSystems that we found on Indeed. We feel this to be an absolutely accurate, high quality cloud architect job description. And as I mentioned, organizations often do cutting and pasting. If you hear some of these things, they may sound a whole lot like what was published in CIO magazine. So we're not saying they did any cutting and pasting, but some of the words are nearly identical, which means at least this CIO is in tune with what other CIOs are suggesting and what they want for a cloud architect. So since this isn't a technology company and they know exactly what they need, let's hear what they talk about under key responsibilities. The first thing they say is lead the cultural change for cloud adoption. It's exactly what was published in CIO magazine. Then they say influence culture, changing behaviors towards the adoption of cloud services. Very similar to what we heard from CIO magazine. And then they said inspire a culture that resists the urge to do business as usual, because they want to use technology and innovate. And then they say lead an organization to adopt, incorporate cloud computing and directly in a cost-effective manner. Again, this is fantastic for a cloud architect. Then they say develop and coordinate a cloud architecture. Again, makes sense because it's a designer. Then they talk about refine and coordinate the cloud adoption strategy. Makes sense. They talk about working with stakeholders to identify and articulate when to leverage cloud services and when not to. That means the executive team. Then they talk about developing a process which IT and business can easily select the appropriate resource for the right technology for their solution. Perfect, perfect, perfect. And then they talk about creating an evaluation criteria for selecting cloud providers and services. And they talk about collaborating with stakeholders, and they talk about working with subject matter expert stakeholders, and I could go on. This is a brilliant cloud architect job description, and it's exactly what a cloud architect would do. Now, when we searched cloud architect, solution architect popped up a lot, and we're not really a fan of the term solution architect because the solution architect could be anything. I've seen dentists use that term, I've seen networking people use that term, I've seen application architects use that term, I've seen anybody in any industry use the term solution architect, so we prefer being more specific, but solution architect is a commonly used term, so let's look at the different types of solution architects that pop up when you actually type cloud architect in a search engine. The next one is from Salesforce, and again, another great technology company, so they know what their solutions architects or cloud architects need to do. And here's what they posted in their job description. They want their solution architect to support the successful integration, data, design, security, and execution of a company's CRM strategy. Then they said maintain data integrity, makes sense, and manage data inputs and outputs for client marketing campaigns, makes sense. They're a designer of things that are in use with their business. Then it says lead the design and development of new initiatives, and then it says provide leadership for best practice standards and frameworks for all programs and platforms it pertains to. Again, exactly what an architect would do. And it talks about the consulting side where you participate in complex discussions with key stakeholders, partners, or technology teams. And then they talk about the ability to advise and work with others. Again, this is a real solution architect, cloud architect type job description. Note, in all of these descriptions, you never heard configure the management console, you never heard configure the CLI, you didn't hear anything about writing Python scripts or Terraform or automation. Not because these are not valuable skills, they're critical skills in the cloud computing world. They're just not what architects do. They're what engineers do versus sysops versus DevOps people. So you've got to make sure you have the right one. Now I'm going to read you another job description. And this is for tech partners. They're a tech recruiting company. And when I first read this description under cloud architect, it showed up as solution architect. So I read it and I looked at this. And as I'm reading through this, I couldn't figure out what it was. First, it looked like a software developer, then it looked like a DevOps position, but it was listed under solution architect, which was listed under cloud architect. So I looked at it and said, wait, is it? And this is what they listed. They listed technologies, Java, vanilla, ES6, Node.js, Node.js server frameworks, Python, Python 2, Python 3, RESTful frameworks. They talked about data management. They talked about relational databases, non-relational databases, Git, and they talked about command line proficiency and GUI tools and command line, and they talked about scripting, specifically Bash shell. They talked about CI/CD pipelines, Linux systems administrations, and I kept reading and I kept saying, this is not a cloud architect. This is an application architect or a DevOps. It's hard to tell. So I read the job description 3-4 more times and I finally found it. It said solution architect dash applications. And that again made it a good job description for the position. See, Tech Systems has been around for a while. They know what they're doing. They're in a recruiting environment. So when you're reading these cloud architect job descriptions, just be really careful because you type cloud architect, something else pops up and there's going to be a little dash in there. And that's the only way you're going to be able to differentiate many of these cloud architect job descriptions. We hope we've provided you some information on cloud architect job descriptions so you actually know what to do. Because if you want to be a cloud architect, and again, it's either a customer-facing role, it's a design role, and it's not a configuration role. And we find that what keeps a lot of cloud architects from getting to their goals is they're so busy focused on Python scripting or other things that are not related to their job that they don't have the skill set they need to function as a cloud architect because they're too busy training for sysops or DevOps or cloud engineers. We're suggesting that you focus on training for the job that you want and not other jobs that are interesting in the industry but not related to the job you want. I hope you've enjoyed this video on cloud architect job descriptions. If you'd let me tell you about some things we do for the cloud architect community. On Monday and Thursday, we have a free How to Get Your First Cloud Architect Job webinar. And on these free webinars, we teach you what you need to learn. We teach you the skills that are necessary. We teach you exactly what hiring managers desire, things to do in your interview, things to learn so you can have a great cloud computing career. We do that free on every Monday and every Thursday. Now, every Tuesday, we have a Cloud Architect Experience webinar, and we talk about how to get the real kinds of experience that you can put on your resume that organizations desire you to be able to hire you for a cloud architect or a cloud engineer job. We do this completely free. We do it every Tuesday, and a lot of times we have these live architecture challenges where we do a lot of free training in these same things, and we have you and work with you build architectures on multiple cloud providers for various technology challenges. And we do this completely free every Tuesday. The link is in the description below. Most Wednesdays, if we have time, but not all because we're pretty busy, but most, we do a YouTube Live, and on these YouTube Lives, you can bring us anything related to any cloud architect or cloud computing career questions, and what we'll do is we'll work with you, we'll ask you some questions, and we will help you, help point you in the right direction based upon the things that you ask us to make you have the best cloud computing career. Again, we do that completely free, and we do it most Wednesdays. We are holding an AWS Certified Solution Architect Professional Bootcamp on June 15th to June 20th, 2021. And it will be a complete and free training program. And if you're watching this video after that, don't worry, I'll leave the link to that complete course in the description below. We also have a completely free Certified Solution Architect Associate course. The link is in the description below. And of course, to go along with the course, no course is really complete without a book. So we have a completely free AWS Certified Solution Architect Associate ebook. The link is in the description below. Thank you so much for watching this video. It's a real pleasure to become part of the cloud computing community or the cloud architect community or both. And I take it as an honor and a privilege to be able to speak with you as often as I do. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you in another video very soon.